There's a type of person who walks into a room and already knows who is lying, who is hurting, who is about to explode. They didn't learn this in school. No book taught them this, no course, no degree. They learned it the only way this kind of intelligence gets learned, by surviving something. Psychology has a name for what they developed. It's called traumatic intelligence, and it is the rarest and most misunderstood form of smart that exists. Most people think intelligence is about how fast you solve problems, how many facts you remember, how high you scored on a test. But there is a completely different kind of intelligence, one that doesn't show up on any test, one that doesn't get you straight A's, one that gets built inside you, layer by layer, through chaos, pain, and learning to survive in environments that should have felt safe, but never did. When a child grows up in emotional unpredictability, when they never know which version of their parent is walking through the door, when they learn to read a room before they learn to read a book, their brain does something extraordinary. It rewires. It becomes a precision instrument for reading people, detecting danger, processing complexity, not because anyone taught it to, because it had to. 1. You read people within seconds, not because you try to, because your brain never stopped doing what it learned in childhood, scanning faces, tones, silences, and microexpressions for information that keeps you safe. Most people hear words. You hear what's underneath the words. 2. Your overthinking has no off switch. You don't overthink because you're neurotic. You overthink because your brain was trained in an environment where missing a detail had consequences. That hypervigilance saved you once. Now it follows you everywhere. 3. You feel everything at a depth others can't access. Someone else's bad day sits inside your chest like it's your own. A sad story from a stranger affects you for hours. You don't just experience emotions, you absorb them. This is not weakness. This is a nervous system that was calibrated to sense everything. Because once upon a time, everything mattered. 4. You grew up feeling like an outsider. Not unpopular, not disliked, just watching. Like everyone else was living inside life, and you were standing slightly outside it, observing, understanding things people twice your age hadn't figured out yet. 5. You are tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Because the exhaustion isn't physical. It's the weight of a mind that never fully powers down. Always processing, always anticipating, always quietly preparing for something that may never come. 6. Happiness makes you nervous. When things are going well, some part of you waits, because your nervous system never learned what sustained safety feels like. Calm feels unfamiliar. Peace feels like a setup. Joy arrives with a quiet voice in the background saying, "Don't get used to this." 7. You became fiercely, almost aggressively independent. Not because you don't need people, but because you learned early, in the most painful way possible, that needing people and having them show up are two completely different things. So you stopped waiting, and you figured everything out yourself. 8. You understand broken people in ways others cannot. You don't just sympathize with people who are struggling. You recognize them. The fake smile, the deflection, the anger that is actually grief, the silence that is actually screaming. You see it instantly because you have worn all of those things yourself. 9. You ask questions nobody else thinks to ask. Not out loud necessarily, but quietly, privately. Why did they really say that? What are they actually afraid of? What is happening beneath what everyone else accepts at face value? Your mind never stops going deeper, because surface-level answers were never enough to keep you safe. 10. You survived things that were designed to break you. Not dramatically, not with a heroic story, just quietly, day after day, absorbing, adapting, continuing. When the world expected you to collapse, you found something inside yourself that refused. Here is what I want you to understand. Traumatic intelligence is not a consolation prize. It is not the universe's way of saying sorry. It is a real, documented psychological phenomenon. The result of a brain that refused to stop developing, even when its environment gave it every reason to shut down. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You are not too intense. You are not too much of anything. You are someone whose mind was forged under conditions most people will never understand. And you carry that quietly, every single day. That is not damage. That is extraordinary. If this reached something in you, you already know why.